Hi everyone, this is Mike, and I am going to talk to you guys about something that came out recently that I am excited to talk about because it's one of my favorite franchises of all time, and that is the Bioshock collection. I don't really pick up a lot of remasters because I mainly like to focus on getting new games and new experiences, but I love this franchise so much, any excuse to play through it again was fine by me. This comes with all the single-player content for all games. The only thing it's lacking is Bioshock 2's multiplayer mode, which not many people are going to complain about, but it does have a little bit of fans here, and there are a few people that play it, just not that many. I have a feeling if more people played it, the multiplayer might have been included, but it's not. I want to get some of the technical stuff out of the way first. The upgrade to 60 FPS I don't think really benefited most of these games. The only game I think it benefited was Infinite, because Infinite, was out in the open, and you had the skylines where you ride really fast, and it was more action-oriented. So I didn't really see the 60 FPS really blowing my mind on the other games in the series, because the other games in the series, especially the first game, is practically slow-paced. It's about exploration and scrounging up for stuff, and, environmental storytelling and things like that. So, the 60 FPS didn't really do that much for most of these games, but I will say it definitely helped Infinite, and Infinite really benefited, I think, from the upscaling as well, and basically it was on par with the PC version, which was the definitive version, which was, in terms of visuals, it was the version that we were all supposed to play in 2013. I have a feeling Infinite was supposed to be an H-Gen game all along, and because the H-Gen consoles took forever coming out, they ended up having to dial them down for last-gen. Because when you look at the Infinite, the demos that were shown at E3 for Infinite, they look much better than Infinite did on consoles when it came out, originally. I will say there are some bugs here that did not exist in the original versions of these games. For instance, Infinite, about halfway through, the frame rate just went all over the place, and including... And on the DLC, even the first part of Episode 1, the DLC, the frame rate went all over the place as well. So there's definitely some frame rate issues. However, the first half of Infinite ran pretty well, and when it ran pretty well, again, like I said, it looked really good. I enjoyed the commentary, the director's commentary for the first game that you looked for it. You had to look for the different episodes of the commentary, the director's commentary, the interview with Jeff Keighley. What Jeff Keighley did with Ken Levine and somebody else. I don't remember his name. But I wish they would have done that with the entire series. Especially, even if they could only get Ken Levine, you could have talked about Infinite and Burial at Sea. And unfortunately, it was just in the first game. It was good, but I would have liked to see it draw in the other games as well. That would have been really nice. It's a minor issue. It's nothing really major, but still, I figured I'd mention it. Let's see. I know Bioshock 2 had an issue. Oh yeah, Bioshock 2 had a very weird issue where you only have a certain amount of space for saves, even if your console has plenty of room on its hard drive. So just because your console has room on its hard drive doesn't mean you have enough room for all these saves. You're going to have to delete saves and make room, otherwise you're going to have to replay certain parts of the game. I had to do that with one of the chapters in Bioshock 2. This was not an issue with 1, nor was it an issue with Infinite. Not only did it come with all DLC, but it actually came with some of the pre-order bonuses. The Infinite came with the pre-order bonuses, like the extra hats that you get throughout the game. If you pre-ordered it or whatever, you were able to get special extra hats in a restaurant and more infusions. They included that here, so you got them all right here. I have to say, for Bioshock fans, is it worth the upgrade? I would say I'm kind of torn on that, because the visuals do look better, but it's more about looking the way you remember it rather than looking new. And it's not supposed to look new. It's supposed to look the way you remembered seeing Rapture for the first time. That's why I added all the seaweeds and stuff. But this is worth picking up if you already own the other games. Honestly, it depends. I can't really say for you. For me personally, it was a joy to play through these again. Also, I have to point out something else too. I wanted to live stream this on YouTube and couldn't for some reason. Duque has said that you couldn't live stream it, and I'm like, why? You can. There's plenty of Bioshock videos on YouTube already, so why block it? You know. So yeah. I know I've said a lot of complaints about this, but honestly, I'm glad I got this because this is one of my favorite series of all time. One is my favorite. Infinite is fantastic as well. Bioshock 2 was my least favorite because it was more it focused more on combat over exploration. I know I said Infinite was the more combat focused, but it didn't do it at the expense of its exploration. Where I felt Bioshock 2, it hurt the exploration on it, because there were areas I wanted to explore and be thorough about that I couldn't because there were just too many splicers and I was running out of supplies and they were just overdoing the splicers. This is also the first time I got to play Minerva's Den, and I have to say there's good and bad about it. The bad about it is I felt like you should have started with a certain plasmid that you normally start with, but you don't. I felt like they started you out with the wrong plasmid, and that kind of made me kind of I can't describe it, but it just felt wrong. I just felt I got the wrong type of plasmid at the beginning. There was a different plasmid I would have preferred that you normally get that I should have gotten at the beginning, and I didn't. And it kind of felt I still managed to play to get through it, but it just fell off to me. Like when there's a part where you fight your first big daddy in Minerva's Den, and I wasn't happy with the plasmids that I had. Eventually, I got the plasmids I wanted, but yeah, a minor thing. I don't think Steve Gaitner is that good with combat. However, he's phenomenal at storytelling, and the ending to Minerva's Den had real heart to it, and had a sense of humanity to it that I felt was lacking with Ken Levine. Ken Levine later on did put humanity in his games, but I felt like Steve Gaynor was one of the first to add some heart and humanity into this franchise. And the ending to it is bittersweet, and it's one of the best endings to the series, and I feel like it's underrated because it was part of Bioshock 2, and Bioshock 2 is basically felt like a straight-to-video release rather than a theatrical release, if you get the analogy of what I'm saying. It should be obvious, but I will say Bioshock 2, even though it's my least favorite, it has a good story. They did improve the combat mechanics, with being able to use plasmids and weapons simultaneously, being able to dual wield. I thought that was a nice improvement. And I felt the big daddy little sister relationship was more humanized. So it's worth playing once, but I wouldn't play Bioshock 2 again and again and again. However, Ken Levine games, especially the first one, I have played over and over and over again, and will probably play them again in the future. I didn't have any, I would say Bioshock 2, as far as the bugs are concerned, 2 had the save issue, and Infinite, I think, had the most bugs in it, which is unfortunate because when the bugs aren't there, it's beautiful. 1 ran the best, I think, overall, in terms of technical issues. But 1 is my all-time favorite. It's the one I've played the most. It was mind-blowing when it first came out, even though technically it is a, watered-down console version of System Shock 2, with objectivist themes in it. But for console gamers, it blew our minds because we weren't familiar with objectivism at the time. In 2007, we weren't familiar with Ayn Rand, a lot of us weren't. So this was like a one-on-one edge. Even the first few minutes of the original Bioshock is basically objectivism 101. And that's awesome. You literally get smarter by playing this. Infinite dealt with American exceptionalism, or I want to call it national exceptionalism, because it's not just America. Other empires have done it throughout the years, and there are other countries in the world that do this as well. So I'm going to call it national exceptionalism, but Infinite explores that to a point. Infinite, I think, it had really good stories going on, and they seem to gel well together. But you still kind of felt like you were watching three different things. The story that you were experiencing at the beginning of Infinite was not the same as its ending, but it flowed together so well that it worked. Also, there's iconic characters in here, like the Big Daddies and Little Sisters. I think Elizabeth deserves to be an icon as well. And also, as far as Burial at Sea, the DLC, it is very important that you play it, because Episode 2 of Burial at Sea ties together Infinite to the first game. That's all I'm going to say about it, but it's the bridge between Bioshock 1 and Bioshock Infinite, because they seem like two very different worlds, despite having some similarities. But Burial at Sea Episode 2 is what bridges the two together. Episode 1 of Burial at Sea, you get to see Rapture Before the Fall, which really excited me. There's two parts of that. The part where there's no splicers and you're just walking around and seeing Raptures, the sights and sounds of Rapture, is the best part of that particular one. I know I'm going all over the place talking about this, but most of you have probably played these games already, so it's not like you're going to be confused and, anyway. So yeah, Bioshock 1 is okay, I don't want to say that again, I've already talked about that. I also have to say, I love the bunny party in Burial at Sea Episode 1. You have to wear a bunny mask to attend. You got to put on a bunny mask, and then you go to a bunny party. So, yay bun! The scariest part, I would say, in the entire series is the bee room in the first game. Why? Because it's the bee room. Scary bees, not buns. So, yeah, I'm going all over the place here, but I just had to talk about this because I love this franchise so much. 2 is my least favorite. If I had to rank these in order, first place would be number 1. I would tie Burial at Sea with Infinite, because they really do go together. And then I would go to Minerva's Den following, and then at very last would be Bioshock 2. This is a phenomenal series, but this remaster I think could have been better. But if you want an excuse to play this again, it's worth picking up. I know it's a full price, but you're getting all the games and all the DLC together, and you're getting one of the best of all time. Hopefully, they'll be able to allow YouTube to stream it again, and if that happens, I might do a Let's Play of it then, if that's ever patched in. But yeah, I really can't tell you whether you should get this or not if you already own it, but if you haven't gotten it yet, you own a PS4 or an Xbox One, get it. You get everything except for multiplayer for Bioshock 2 in like 2 discs in one box. It's very convenient, and you get the entire Bioshock storyline. You get everything that Ken Levine wanted to tell, plus you get what the other developers wanted to tell, and plus you get Steve Gaynor as well, so that's a plus also. So you get the best of Ken Levine, and you get Steve Gaynor's debut. So yeah, definitely worth checking out. Definitely worth picking up if you're a fan of the franchise. I'm looking forward to Skyrim Remastered. I want to get that as well, because that's another game that I spent a lot of time on. So yeah, I recommend it, but keep in mind, this could have been better. So I can't, give a full, enthusiasm. I can't really, recommend it as wholeheartedly as I'd like. But I can still recommend it because I love the series so much. If you own the games already, that's really up to you. But if you haven't and you own a current-gen console, pick this up. Anyways, that's all I got to say. I went on for a long time. This is Mike, and I will see you in a future video. Bye.